Hey guys, OGalbina here. Bring you guys our PMU Season 9 Week 5 battle, I believe it is, against Cherryman and his Rose Tower Kyle Rogers. Cherry's a really cool dude. I have gotten to know him this season, the PMU. I know he's actually uploading this season. Definitely go check him out in the description below. He's a really nice guy, and he's uploading some really solid content as well. So if you want to see his side of the battles, watch his videos up through this point of the season, definitely go do so. He'll be linked down in the description with all the other coaches. But yeah, with that being said, time to jump into the team builder. I do like doing a quick little team builder just so you can see what we're bringing, why we're bringing all that stuff, so you have that background knowledge going into the matchup. And yeah, if you want to skip ahead, there'll be a timestamp on the screen a little bit earlier, as well as in the description below on when the battle starts, so you can jump right ahead to that. And yeah, with that being said, let's go and jump into it. So our team at the top of your screen, as you can see, consists of Weavile, Komodo, Zemus, Empoleon, Florges, Piloswine, Rotom, Fan, Neolego, Shaman, Slowbro, Pyro, and Mega Alakazam, while our opponent's team consists of Tapu Fini, Ferrothorn, Incineroar, Galvantula, Hitmontop, Marini, Haxorus, Zemus, Gliscor, Lycanroc, Midday, Hoopa, and Mega Kangaskhan. Hoopa confined, that is obviously not unbound. We'd have that in the graphic if it was unbound. But yeah, biggest threats to our team. I would say for sure the Fini's very annoying for us to deal with. I think a potential Combine Fini goes absolutely crazy versus our team, so we have to be very careful about that. I think Incineroar is actually incredibly annoying for our team to not only break, but also pivot into. My team does not appreciate Dark plus fighting Fire Stab at all. We do have Komodo, but you'll see by the Komodo set we're bringing, we can't really afford to let it get knocked off, which is actually really scary. I think a Swords Dance or a Dragon Dance Haxorus can be very scary as well if it gets out of hand. Hoopa confined, I don't have great switch-ins to. I don't switch into ghost types in general. So as weird as it is to say that I'm really weak to Hoopa confined, because you actually typically don't see the thing drafted. So it's cool to see it drafted, but it's not cool if it comes against me, because it kind of rips me. Other than that, I think I deal with everything pretty well. I think that Ferrothorn can be a little bit annoying for our team to break. But other than that, I'm pretty confident in the matchup. So let's go ahead and jump into our first member, which is going to be our Shaman, rocking out the leftovers, Natural Cure as its ability, Seed Flare, Earth Power, Hidden Power Fire, and Synthesis. EV's wise, we got 92 HP, 152 special attack, 12 speed def, and max speed with a timid nature. EV's wise, we're time-based 100s. Basically being the Kangaskhan, I believe it's the only base 100, but we're tying it. We're not 2-hit KO by 252 special attack Ice Beam from Tapu Fini after leftovers with that rocks up, and then we have the rest in special attack. This Pokemon's a great Fini check. It's honestly a great wall breaker in this game between Seed Flare getting drops, Earth Power for the Incineroar, and then Hidden Power Fire for the Ferrothorn. Seed Flare can kind of push through Gliscor as well, especially with drops, so I didn't feel the need to go Hidden Power Ice, and it realistically should be able to break through a lot of Cherry's team. Now, I do expect a potential Assault Vest Incineroar. That's going to make rocks very important in this game, as you'll see later on. We really need to ensure we have rocks up in order to chip that thing down sufficiently. And this Pokemon actually kind of rips through Cherry's team pretty darn well. He doesn't have anything faster than either other than the Lycanroc and then Galvantula, and then there's obviously the Kang that ties it. Also a great status absorber if he does elect to go that route, though he does have a Fini, so I'm not expecting it, but regardless, nice to have at the end of the day. Next up, we got our Komodo rocking out with the Salic Berry, bulletproof as its ability, Drain Punch, Belly Drum, Substitute, and Thunder Punch. EV's wise, we got 44 HP, 228 special attack, 4 defense, 4 def, and 228 speed with an adamant nature. EV's wise, we have enough speed from our max speed Lycanroc at +1, as well as a Scarf Hoopa. Our sub's not broken by uninvested Incineroar or Marini. And then we 2-hit KO Gliscor after Poison Heal at +6. Yes, we're running Belly Drum Komodo, which is definitely interesting. This set goes absolutely crazy if I can get up that free sub. Our main setup opportunities are going to be Ferrothorn and Incineroar. We should always be able to sub on those things very easily, as well as a potential Marini. But though Marini can't have haze, so it's something we have to keep in mind. But if it doesn't, and we scout its moveset, we can sub on it at the very least. And yeah, this Pokemon goes absolutely insane in this matchup. We should outspeed everything at +1, minus a potential Scarf Haxorus, which I did see come in a mock. My buddy Box didn't bring that, so we have to be careful of that. But if we, do find that free opportunity to sub, it honestly could just kind of be GG with this set. Now, we do have to get a little bit of chip on the Gliscor. Gliscor can be a big nuisance for this set, but we can kind of push through it with a little bit of prior chip, I believe. Yeah, after Poison Heal, if it's not defensively invested, it's just max HP, we should 2-hit KO pretty easy. So this set's absolutely amazing. This game is a win con if we can just get that free sub on Ferrothorn or Incineroar, and I feel like we can because those Pokemon are both very important in stopping our Mega Alakazam. Next up, we got our Rotom Fan making his debut, rocking out with the leftovers. Levitate as its ability, Air Slash, Hidden Power, Ice, Defog, and Volt Switch. We got max HP, 56 defense, 60 special attack, 20 def, and 116 speed with a calm nature. This Pokemon is just a great defogger. I don't want to get spike stacked. I'll for sure get spike stacked if I don't bring in defog when I'm playing that Ferrothorn. I also don't want T-Spikes on the field. T-Spikes on the field are no bueno for me because I don't have Niki to absorb them, and if the Mareanie comes to set them up, that kind of ruins our Komodo. So that's obviously not ideal. EVs-wise, we're creeping no speed, Mega Kangaskhan. We are not 2-hit KO by non-boosting Galvantula. We're not 2-hit KO by Gliscor Stone Edge, and then we have the rest in our special attack, which is 60 left over. And it's just a great sponge and pivot into a lot of things like Feeny, like the Incineroar, like the Gliscor, like the like the Galvantula especially too. We also keep webs off of this, and again, webs are also very important to keep off. Hazards are very important for us to keep off in order to find that position to get in our Komodo and sub and belly drum and all that good stuff. So yep, that's gonna be Rotom. Next up, we got Big Zammer rocking out with the Alakazam. Obviously traces its ability, Psychic Focus Blast, Shadow Ball, and Recover. EV size, we got 4 HP, 132 defense, 116 special attack, 4 speed def, and 252 speed with a modest nature. EVs wise, we have enough speed for a Scarfed Timid Hoopa. We live 2 Life Orb Accelerox after rocks from the Lycanroc mid. Is it midday or is it just Lycanroc? I don't know. It's midnight, yeah, so it is midday. And then we have our rest in our special attack to do as much damage as humanly possible. Realistically, this Pokemon actually kind of rips through Cherry's team. Focus Blast is everything that Psychic doesn't, being the Incineroar and the Ferrothorn. If we have rocks up, this Pokemon is incredibly, incredibly difficult for Cherry to try and switch into and deal with. Now, he does have the Incineroar, which is a pretty good pivot otherwise. But again, rocks, plus I think coming in, taking repeated rock chips, maybe a hit from, other Pokemon on our team. We're actually, like our Shaman or something like that, we're actually going to be in a very good spot for Zam to just kind of click Psychic in the end game and hopefully pick up a dub. Again, we have the Shadow Ball for the Hoopa, Focus Blast for things like Kang, Pharaoh, and Incineroar. And yeah, just time to click buttons essentially with this Pokemon. It does really well in that sense. So that's gonna be Zam. And then lastly, or no, not lastly, second to lastly, we have Piloswine rocking off the Eevee Light. Thick Fat as its ability, Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Ice Crush, and Ice Shard. Eevee also got max HP, 76 attack, 124 defense, 52 speed def, and then 4 speed with an adamant nature. This is going to be our rocker. Very, very important to have rocks up. We 2-hit KO Incineroar after an Intimidate drop, so we should still be able to push through that thing. As long as it's not physically defensive, though, keep in mind, I do expect to be more speed def, but we should always 2-hit KO it after we're intimidated, which is awesome. We live 2 jolly double edges from Mega Kangaskhan, and then we have our rest in our speed def. There's just 4 left over in speed. Literally doesn't do anything, but I don't like when there's no EVs, when there's leftover EVs, if I can help it. So I threw it in speed. Yeah, like I said, rocks are very important in this game. As much as I don't want him to have any hazards up against me, I don't want spikes, I don't want T-spikes, I don't want webs, anything like that. If I can find the opportunity to get up my rocks for that Incineroar, absolutely amazing in helping Zam really, really punch through this team and do a lot of damage. So yeah, that's gonna be Piloswine. Very, very self-explanatory. It also gives us backup checks to things like Haxorus and Gliscor and things like that if they want to come. Earthquake plus Ice Crash is always very, very free in general too, which is obviously really, really nice. And yeah, it's gonna be Pilo. Then lastly, we have our Slowbro rocking out with the, it should be Rocky Helmet, but it's not Rocky Helmet because I forgot to change the item. Or I just messed up putting it in. I didn't even forget to change the item. I just didn't do that right, I don't think. Let me double check really quick. I'm sorry about this fat break in immersion right here. I'm like 90% sure I was Helmet. Yeah, I was Helmet in this game. Oops. So yeah, rocking out with the Rocky Helmet Regenerator as its ability. Skull, Flamethrower, Slack Off, Ice Beam. Eevee's always got 244 HP, max defense, and then 12 super def with a bold nature. This thing is here to check Kang. It's here to check Haxorus. It's here to check, honestly, Incineroar, as funny as it is. Yeah, the first knock is going to do a chunk, but after that, we actually should wall it as long as it's not any kind of setup variant or something like that. And I don't think it really has the liberty to be so this time. Now, we are very big fodder for that Tapu Fini, but realistically, there's not much we can do about it. Otherwise, I do have good checks to Fini in the back, so not the biggest deal in the world that we can't hit that, but we hit pretty much everything else on our opponent's team pretty darn hard with our Slowbro here. We can add a lot of burns on things too if Misty Terrain isn't up, which is obviously awesome. We have Flamethrower for the Ferrothorn, then we have Ice Beam for the Dragon and Haxorus, and also hits Gliscor a little bit harder. And yeah, just a very, very solid Pokemon overall in this matchup, and checking that physical offense, especially that Mega Kangaskhan, which we are a bit weak to up at this point. But yeah, that's essentially going to be the team. I'll be right back with the battle. Alright guys, here we are with the battle. You can see the 6 that Cherry elected to bring. He went with the Tapu Fini, the Incineroar, Kangaskhan, Mega Kangaskhan, Hitmontop, Hoopa, Confined, I believe that's how you say it, and then Ferrothorn. So pretty similar to what we were expecting. Minus potentially the Hitmontop. I didn't think Hitmontop was going to come versus me because I feel like I have such good counterplay to it. I don't see what it, in particularly, you know, checks and or beats. But we'll see. It might be just for the double intimidate pivot and to stop Komodo and things like that. But with that being said, we can go ahead and jump into it. I am going to lead off with my Shaman. I feel as if my Shaman, oh man, as I realize my green screen is all messed up. I feel as if my Shaman has probably one of the best lead matchups on my team at this point. And it deals well versus anything not named Incineroar, basically, is my thought process. I'm kind of trying to fix my layout mid-recording because I can still see a little bit of the black screen. It's annoying me. Awesome. There we go. So we do see a lead Tapu Fini, which is honestly best case scenario because I can just click Earth Power freely. Now, I know this is, you know, can seem like a bit of an aggressive play turn 1, but I don't think he's saying you try and Calm Mind. I don't think that you know, stand and attack me in general, but even if you do, I'm not too KO by anything but Specs, and Specs Fini would be interesting, and I could just see Flare at the turn afterwards, or try and Synth Up, and, you know, Scout and Seize. No Specs hit killed me either, so I should be in, you know, fine in all honesty, but I'm just going to Earth Power because I do expect the Incineroar pivot. And what it's going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to gauge damage on this thing as it ends up coming in, so we do end up getting that play correct, which means Incineroar is going to come hard in right here, and we do end up clicking Earth Power. And you're going to see this thing is Assault Vest like max Spadef, because I did like 20% with that Earth Power, which is genuinely insane. So this is for sure the Zam check. It is legit max AV, so that's something we have to keep in mind. I'm going to make a pivot out into my Rotom because I don't particularly want anything knocked, but he actually likes to go for a U-turn. I figured that knock would be his best play because nothing on my team really appreciated it, took it, minus potentially Komodo, but you know, being my set, I can't really you know, go hard into it. I lose my Salic Berry, I lose all element of surprise, and I lose, you know, my way of winning this game with Komodo. So out comes the Mega Kangaskhan on my Rotom fan, as I'm just going to make the safe Slowbro pivot. I have no reason to really make any other play other than go hard Slowbro because this thing can't really do anything to me, in all honesty. And it's going to take 2 turns of Rocky Helmet if it makes any kind of contact whatsoever, as we are going to see a Return Pop. And we're going to see, I believe this first one actually ends up critting, and it still only does about 35-40-ish%, which is pretty darn funny. Now, provided we don't get crit, and even if we do get crit again, I'm pretty sure we do live that unless we get like super high roll crit and a super high roll in the second parental bond hit. So we should honestly take that just fine, as I believe I do just, I want to say I slack off. No, I make the double. I think I make the double into my Shaman. No, into my Rotom. It was just, you know, safe overall pivot. I don't take a ton from Kang. I'll obviously live the hit. And I didn't expect him to want to stay in all honesty, just because he's taking a bunch of chip. I can obviously slack it off, and I'd rather get the regenerate coverage. So I'm going to go Rotom, and I'm going to Volt Switch. He actually likes to stay in, which I found was very interesting in the sense that just did an absolute ton, especially if I was like Thunderbolt or offensive. I feel like he has sufficient pivots into Rotom at this point to where he doesn't need to take that damage on Fini, but I'll for sure take it. It's always nice for my team. My team doesn't really appreciate breaking down Tapu Fini in the slightest. It's realistically only Shaman, as my Rotom can't really do so on its own. So we're going to get the free switch out into our Shaman right here, as he does go for the Moonblast. I am going to make the double, I believe, trying to get into my Piloswine. I realize at this point in the game that rocks are incredibly important if I am going to break down his team, as he actually ends up making the Ferrothorn pivot, as I figured he might go Incineroar, but it's all good. I am just going to click Stealth Rock, try and get up my rocks on this Pharaoh, and hopefully chip down the rest of the team thereafter, as we do see his rocks are going to go up at the same exact time. That's fine for me, in all honesty. My rocks are much more damaging to him than his are to me, if that makes any sense. He needs this Incineroar healthy, or he kind of loses to Zam in the end game. So I think that's very important. I'm going to make the pivot out into my Shaman, just because I know I can take any one hit from this thing. Gyro Ball is going to bounce off of my Piloswine, so there's no real way he's going to click that. I wanted to scout for a Power Whip, and I didn't want to go hard Komodo on a potential lead seed, as we saw right there.
So what I'm going to do here is just throw off an HP Fire. I'll be able to scout and see if it's Akka, see what set it is. I know I won't Oko it no matter what, and we'll be able to go from there, as he is going to Gyro Ball. Unfortunately do an absolute ton of damage to us, but in all honesty, that's completely fine, as I am going to be able to just synth off that damage and, you know, potentially even PP stall him out of Gyro Balls. Now, I will subsequently lose all of my synthesis PP, but it'll essentially make this thing useless, and if I can find an opportunity to get in my Komodo on a Gyro Ball, I'm sitting pretty. So, I am going to make the pivot out. No, I am going to make the synthesis play. Sorry. Get back up to a pretty healthy amount with this in conjunction with my leftovers and things like that. So we're getting Shaman nice and healthy again, where we can still check things like Feeny, still check the Ferrothorn in all honesty, and you know, be in a pretty good spot here in the end game, as this thing's a genuine nuisance for him to deal with, especially with rocks up. Without rocks, it's not as scary for him to potentially switch in on Sea Players and Earth Powers, but with rocks up, definitely a fat nuisance. So I'm going to make the play into my Rotom. Reason being, one, I didn't really expect him to want to spin in the face of the Helmet Bro, but even if he did, I knew it would do genuinely nothing to me, and what I could do is just, you know, defog away his rocks the turn after, because mine are up, there's no reason for me to, you know, leave his up, if that makes any sense. It just makes my pivots a lot freer, so I am going to make the, defog play, be able to get rid of said rocks, and, you know, be able to pivot out on this Kangaskhan, as I still have a full health Slowbro in the back, and especially without any hazards up, I don't have to worry about a crit, two crits to it KOing or anything like that. I can kind of just click a button and be in a pretty good spot. So I am going to go ahead and make that pivot out, just because, again, no reason to stay in, unless it's 2 crits in a row, I should live. As he's going to reveal the Wish, which is definitely a really good ring. I thought Fat King was pretty good against me, in the sense that it's also going to let him stay healthy and not have to really worry about the rest of our team. And it's honestly going to be hard for Slowbro to beat a 1v1 in a really quick scenario. It'll win the long term, but early on, it's going to be definitely annoying. So I'm going to make the pivot out into my Shaman. I think he made a nice middle ground here. In the game, I was kind of confused by this play, but realistically, Scald was absolutely bouncing. This is a completely free switch into his Incineroar, and he gets up, and it also covers, you know, me making that aggressive play, expecting the Feeny to come in, as Feeny, you know, pretty much hard walls me. I expected that thing to potentially be wished up after the Volt Switch, but this is just going to allow the Incineroar to come in, and it also catches me on my Shaman switch, as I was trying to catch that, what do you call it, that Feeny getting wished up. So definitely a very solid play on Cherry's part. That was, I like that middle ground a lot. I thought that was definitely a really smart play in hindsight. But my Shaman's at least going to get a little bit of leftovers, and I am going to make the pivot out. Again, don't really beat this thing in the slightest. I'm going to make the play into my Papal. Don't have great knockoff switches, as he is going to be able to get a knockoff on my Piloswine. And then he's going to be able to get off a big U-turn the turn after. Now, I am going to be able to throw off my rocks pretty darn freely. Reason I want rocks up in case there is like any weird sashes or anything like that, and just to chip things into range of the Komodo, if I do find the opportunity to set up and things like that. So rocks are going to go up right here as the Hitmontop comes right in. He's very adamant about rocks not being up, I've noticed, and I noticed this in the post game. In game, I just thought like, he just doesn't, you know, feel like dealing with rocks, but you're gonna see it's because he does end up actually having, you know, a sash user in the back, and you know that's really important for him to keep said sash and things like that. So I'm going to be able to go back in my Rotom, get back a little bit of health via lefties. This Rapid Spin does nothing this gen. It's still, you know, in its previous weakened state, doesn't get the speed boost or anything. And then this allows me, you know, some pretty free momentum right here, as I can kind of just click Volt Switch for free. Again, I'm not super worried about the Hitmontop, even if he does end up staying in aggressively expecting me to Volt Switch. I still have a Slowbro, which honestly kind of just, you know, deters that thing from doing anything ever anyways. As this is going to allow me to finally get in my Komodo, and this is the position I've been waiting for. Now, if you guys watched Teambuilder, you saw that Ferrothorn and Incineroar were for sure our set up targets, as we could pretty much get a free sub on them, and a free sub meant a free Belly Drum, it meant a free Salac Berry, it meant hopefully a free win, especially because there was no Gliscor on the squad at all. So we're going to be able to Belly Drum as this Hitmontop comes in. Now, even though we were -1 when it came in, down we get all the way up to +6. It maximizes our attack because it's the highest level, even if we were minus beforehand. And then our Salac Berry is going to raise our speed. And realistically, we should win the game at this point. There realistically is not much that Cherry can do at this point. I should be able to Drain Punch and Thunder Punch through literally everything on his team. His entire team is in range of a +6 Drain Punch and or Thunder Punches. Bullet Punch comes out here. I checked the calc. This did not kill me ever. Potentially maybe with a crit, but it didn't kill me from there, as I am going to be able to Drain Punch all of that health back and get it to a very, very, very healthy amount, all the way up to 104 HP, which is obviously very, very nice, as we are going to, hopefully be able to win, as we're going to see this Hoopa come in, and this is why he was so adamant about spinning away those rocks. I talked to Cherry after the game. He said that he actually played this kind of Komodo and a Mach a bunch and kept getting smashed by it. So he needed some kind of sash mod to potentially stop it from cleaving through his team. And that was Hoopa. And he was very, very smart in keeping the rocks off. So we would have for sure won with Komodo. Belly drumming up right there. Provided he wasn't sash Hoopa or we kept it up a rock. So definitely a solid play on Cherry's end. So my Komodo is going to go down, but it's able to get off a bunch of damage on a lot of things, as I'm going to be able to go into my Rotom. Click for Volt Switch for free. If he wants to save the Hoopa, I get free momentum on this Ferrothorn. And if he wants to leave in, I get to kill and I get a free switch into something else. So right here, I'm going to go out into my Zam. Now, I know this looks like a bit of a questionable play, but looking at my team at this point, I didn't have great ways of breaking through Ferrothorn. My best way was actually going into Shaman at this point and clicking Hidden Power Fire, which just invites in Incineroar, which just leads for me to be on the back foot. I figured that Zam was my best offensive play because he can't go hard Incineroar as my Zam, because my Zam's just going to click Focus Blast. Now this does, ride on me hitting a Focus Blast, but in theory, it should claim me a KO unless he makes a pivot play in a Feeny and then goes into Incineroar or something like that. We know this thing isn't Chople. And even Max Videf should die from this range because I am a Mega Alakazam at the end of the day. So, provided we hit this Focus Blast, we should be able to claim a KO, as you're going to see he does elect to stay with his Ferrothorn, which is also really nice because if I get up my rocks again, he can't get up rocks, and he also can't spin them away because the Hitmontop is gone, which is, again, absolutely amazing. We're going to chase the Iron Barbs, which is funny, and then we're going to be able to throw a Focus Blast, and thankfully we hit. So, Zam coming up, mucho clutch, and knocking out this Ferrothorn, and, putting on his glasses, making sure that he knocked that thing out and hit the Focus Blast, which is obviously amazing. Now, out comes the Incineroar. Definitely unfortunate. This is kind of what we were hoping to avoid with Shaman. The only reason this positioning is a little bit better is because it didn't come in for free, like it would have on Shaman, and, not claim the KO on Ferrothorn. But right here, I am going to make the pivot out into my Rotom, as he actually ends up making a double into Tapu Feeny. Now, I don't necessarily understand this play. I don't understand what he was trying to catch in particular, other than a potential Piloswine. But even then, I feel like U-turn is your best play if you're expecting some sort of pivot or anything like that. Maybe he was scouting to see if I'd stay in and click Focus Blast. I don't know, but I get a free, I look like I'm ridiculously smart and get a free pivot out into my Rotom when I just kind of felt it was my least valuable member, in the sense that I wanted it to get knocked off more than anything else, I guess. As I am going to be able to Volt Switch, I'm going to go out into my Zam on this Tapu Fini, and hopefully click a button here and, put on a little bit of offensive pressure for sure. As we are going to see a Moonblast come out from this Tapu Fini on my Zam, and again, I'm a pretty darn bulky Zam, so this should kind of bounce off of me, due to my pretty solid Spadef stat as well, on top of the fact that, we have a decent amount of bulk, if I'm remembering correctly, on this Zam. As I am going to make a pivot out, as I do expect either an Incineroar pivot, or, just a potential stay in an attack type thing, and I didn't always knock out the Feeny, and I'd rather keep this, as he actually ends up going into the Hoopa and trying to sack that off to the Zam. Either that, or he was, he was just trying to sack it off because it's not a dark type yet. So, we're going to see that this thing actually is faster than us, but it's going to bounce off because we are Rotom. We don't need a ton of health on this thing anyways, but the unfortunate thing is he does steal our leftovers. It makes knock damage weaker, which is funny, but it is going to get rid of our item, which is a little bit unfortunate. But again, I was pretty okay with losing my item a little bit farther back there when he ended up doubling and not clicking knockoff. But I'm going to be able to Volt Switch, pick off the Hoopa. One less threat we got to deal with. I'm going to go into Shaman. I realized that this probably lets in Incineroar, but I don't really have much that doesn't let in Incineroar. But thankfully, he actually ends up going Kang, and I don't know if I agree with this positioning, in the sense that I feel as if Kang, I have sufficient responses to. I have my Slowbro still. When it comes to Incineroar, I don't have great pivots into the Incineroar, if that makes any sense at all to you guys. So I did find that play a little bit interesting. As I am going to pivot out right here. I don't want to allow a really free wish into the Feeny. I at least want to grab some kind of momentum off of it. And if he ends up attacking me, I'm okay with taking the damage on my Rotom opposed to taking it on my Shaman. As he's actually going to stay in an Earthquake, which I thought was definitely pretty interesting as well. As I do just off a Volt Switch. Again, I want to grab a little bit of Switch Initiative if he does elect to go into like, Incineroar or something in the likes. As he ends up just throwing off another Witch, which again, completely fine. I can go right out into my Piloswine. And the reason I go Piloswine here opposed to Slowbro is because what Piloswine does is Piloswine always lives a hit from this Kangaskhan. I calc the damage. I 100% lived. It was like either like max roll from both returns with either 119 or 120 or something like that. So in theory, I should live this hit. I should be able to get up my rocks, and that's going to be the most important thing in chipping down this Incineroar, because again, I don't have something to immediately punch through it right now. I just don't have something to do that. And Rocks is going to really help with that. It's also going to keep the Feeny very low. It's going to bring it below around 30-ish%, I believe, on the switch in. So that's obviously absolutely amazing, as he is going to click return right here. Though again, barring a crit, we should live, as we do take go down to 26. Showing he's not, fully invested as well. Like, he wasn't max jolly, he was pretty fat king, which again, we anticipated, but I wanted to calc for that damage just in case. As my Rocks are going to go up, and I believe I just clicked Ice Shard for some last ditch chip here in case he wanted to knock us out this turn, which I figured he would, but he actually ends up going for a Wish. Which is fair. I mean, I guess if he does this, he always ends his exchange at 100%, but what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to click Earthquake. And the reason I end up clicking Earthquake right here is because I feel as if it's no drawback, right? If I click Ice Shard, as he ends up, staying in, killing me, he gets back up to full anyways. If I click Earthquake, I cover him trying to make a crazy aggressive play in the Incineroar to get it wished up to full, or making an aggressive play into Feeny to try and get that thing full again, and a bunch of different options like that. So I have no reason not to click Earthquake, if that makes any sense. And it just turns out that it ends up working in this sense, as he does make a really, really aggressive play into Feeny, and we are going to be able to Earthquake this thing and actually end up knocking it out. Now, you're going to see from this, from the Earthquake, as I'm a little bit ahead of myself because of the long animations, I do actually end up getting a crit on this Feeny, which I do apologize. I did the calcs afterwards. This crit did end up mattering because of the fact that he was pretty darn physically defensive. Now, I don't know if this lost him the game. I think it kind of just prolonged what is to come, as you'll soon see. But it was definitely very, very unfortunate. As this turn, I am going to Ice Shard. I figure he either, again, wishes or just knocks me out. In case he just knocks me out, I'm in a better spot if I just, if I just Ice Shard him. Turn afterwards, I will EQ again to catch him trying to be aggressive and getting into that Incineroar or something like that, just in case, as I'm going to go down anyways, and even if I Ice Shard, it doesn't put him in a range where he actually even loses any health after the Wish. So no reason to go for that last ditch chip. It just covers, again, him making an over aggressive play and getting switching out. So now I'm gonna go on my Slowbro, and theoretically Slowbro should wall just about everything on his team at this point. The Incineroar, if it's not very invested after a knockoff, it won't really be able to break me at all anymore, and I can kind of just stay in, spam Scald, and worst comes to worst, win this game via timer. Now, I know that's not fun, and I think he's going to kind of realize this soon. I know that's not fun to win games via timer, but we're at a point in the season where we do have we have 2 losses at this point, I believe, and I can't really afford to take any more, so I'm going to win any way that we possibly can. Now, I will tell you right now, this game does not go to timer, so don't click off the video and yell at me, but I do want to be transparent in the sense that even if I didn't crit the Feeny, I think I just would have had to take this game to potentially timer, just due to the fat natures of both of our builds at this point. We both have pretty darn fat teams. As I am going to slack off on this Incineroar pivoting in, as it does take rock damage. It's going to get pretty darn healthy again, I believe. Oh, no, the Wish isn't up right here. As I am going to pivot out, I'd rather keep my Rocky Helmet if I can. And I'm actually going to sack off my Shaman, because I just feel as if it doesn't do anything anymore. Now, the Kang, it could potentially, like Seed Fire and pick off the Kang, but I have things to outspeed Kang, in all honesty. And we obviously don't do anything to this Incineroar. The Feeny is gone. There's no usefulness for this Shaman anymore. And if I could bait him into Flare Blitzing, he just takes more chip, and I can kind of Earth Power things and, chip things down as I go down. As I am going to stand, just click Earth Power, get a little tiny bit of chip off on this Incineroar. As you're going to see, he clicks knockoff again, and I think this was due to not wanting to take either Flare Blitz recoil on my Shaman as he went down, or trying to, catch my Slowbro on an aggressive pivot on Flare Blitz plus the recoil, plus the rocky helmet and stuff like that. But we're gonna be able to let that other one get another earth power off, and then finally go down to this third attack being a flare blitz finally, as he is gonna be down at basically 1 HP, sealing that this thing is essentially dead. I'm gonna go into my Rotom. The reason I go into my Rotom over my Zam or anything like that is because I can just Volt Switch, and it gives me the best position humanly possible to get the best differential I can possibly get, because I can go for a Volt Switch. Nothing's going to kill me, barring like a Flare Blitz. One, he's probably not going to be faster than me. He's probably not going to be faster than me in the sense he's basically like max Spadef. Two, he can't knock me out with anything but Flare Blitz because my item's gone. He cannot knock me out with knockoff at all at this point. So I can kind of freely Volt Switch. If he Flare Blitzes, so be it. I lose 1 point of diff, but this is my best way of winning this game 3-0 in my opinion. So I'm just going to click Volt Switch, be able to pick off this Incineroar. He has no play at that point, in the sense that he dies to rocks, and I get momentum regardless and go into my Slowbro if he tries to make some weird pivot around and stuff like that. So we're going to get out into Slowbro right here, and we're essentially going to kind of play this long game against Mega Kangaskhan, as it can't really beat me 1v1, but I can sit here, I can burn it, I can slack off, I can pivot, do a bunch of different things, be a general nuisance to this thing overall, and again, if not win via, Slowbro just beating it, win via timer potentially. And thankfully, we're going to speed up the process a ton by getting a burn on this Kangaskhan, ensuring that it's never going to do any damage to me at all. As we do see an Earthquake come out, definitely his best play. Obviously, he doesn't want to take the Helmet chip. Helmet plus Scald will for sure knock this thing out. But then at the same time, it did 20 damage, 20 HP. To my Slowbro, as I'm not gonna have to waste any slack offs off on this thing at this point. I kind of just stay in, spam Scald, click Flamethrower, Ice Beam. I have a bunch of attacking moves, so I'm never gonna run out of PP before this thing either, and I'll be in a pretty good spot overall. As he is gonna return, I think this is just him kind of realizing like, I'm playing the long game, that I don't really win at this point, and I might as well kind of just end this, which I definitely respect. And I definitely understand at that point. I do Ice Beam actually though to preserve some Scald PP because it wouldn't have come close to knocking him out. But thankfully, after the burn, we are going to be able to knock out this Kangaskhan and seal a nice victory against Cherryman and his oh my gosh, Rose Tower Caparaja, as I believe the name. I believe we won this game 3-0. Very nice. We were able to win 2 in a row after dropping, I think, 2 straight. Again, genuinely amazing. Hopefully we can keep the, not the luck, keep the wins going. Definitely not the luck. We're doing it. We're kind of figuring out this team, figuring out what makes it tick, how we play it well. We got to play it a little bit fatter than I initially anticipated we would, but realistically, that's not a bad thing at all. But yeah, we're going to be able to pick up the dub. Next week, we play Jason, aka Dietite, one of my good pals. Very good player. I haven't played Jason in a long time, so I'm definitely very excited to fisticuffs against him. That'll be a fun one. Definitely be sure to sub and stick around if you haven't done so already, so you can catch that game as it goes out next week. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you are new here, drop a sub and drop a comment in that in the comment sections. Help me out, bump me in the YouTube algorithm a little bit. All the YouTuber mumbo jumbo, hit the bell, all that stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.